So Donald Trump goes on. He's been making the podcast rounds. Very interesting how both of these candidates have done more non-traditional media as they try to find voters in new places. Kamala Harris doing the Call Her Daddy podcast, which is a sex-driven podcast geared towards young women. I mean, that's what it is. They talk about sex. Donald Trump has done a lot of podcasts, crypto podcasts, things like that are heavily driven towards younger males. We know that the gender gap is tremendous right now in this election, men breaking for Trump in a big way, women breaking for Harris in a big way, especially single, younger women breaking for Harris in a big way. So they're each trying to find those voters in different places. So Trump goes on the Bussin' with the Boys podcast, which is done by two former NFL players, Will Compton and Taylor Lewan. And they have a very popular show. It's, like I said, podcast, YouTube, everything else. And Trump's on there, and, you know, they're former NFL guys, jocks. So Donald Trump gets asked about his own football career, of which he briefly participated in. And then Donald Trump explained why he stopped playing football. And here's what he said.
And I played football, too. I didn't particularly like it.
What position were you?
No, I didn't like it. I played tight end.
Yeah? Can block,
and I
can
didn't
catch
like,
the whole thing.
You had some hands?
We got Delaney Walker
I
behind.
could catch the ball good, but I didn't particularly like having some guy that was lifting weights all day long and came from a bad neighborhood.
Yeah.
And he sees me, and they were tackling hard.
Okay. So that's Trump talking about his abbreviated football career, right? It sounds like he's saying, he's trying to not sound like a wimp, while also being a little bit humble in his approach to why he stopped playing football. Basically saying, I didn't like to get hit, but in a classic Trump weave fashion, he mixes some other things into his answer, right? So the Washington Post reached out to the hosts of Bussin' with the Boys and requested a comment on why they laughed at that answer. Because you know and I know what they want to do. I don't want to be near guys who are lifting weights coming from tough neighborhoods. They want to make it racial. So Will Compton, one of the hosts, had this to say on social media last night in response to the Washington Post's request for comment.
But just knowing that you know the direction they want to go with this thing as they write whatever article that they're trying to write. And they asked if Will or Taylor would provide a comment on why we found that amusing. So I'm thinking to myself, well, I'll publicly tell you guys my comment. So Washington Post, here's my comment about why I thought it was amusing.
Perfect.
Oh, that was his comment. You know, that's what we were talking earlier about, how Republicans need to stop talking to the Kansas City Star. That's what they should do. They should record a video. I want to see every Republican that the Kansas City Star reaches out to saying, here's my response to your comment. And they videotape themselves in a selfie video, and then they fart into the video. That's what they should do to the Kansas City Star.
Mike Thompson has to be first.
Yeah. I want to see that video. Mike Thompson will win by 20 points if he does that here. Hey, Kansas City Star, here's my comment to you. Oh, man, that is brilliant. Now, let me ask you this. If you hear Donald Trump say what he just said there, where he said he didn't like to play football against, quote, some guy that was lifting weights all day and came from a bad neighborhood. If you think, because I heard it yesterday and I didn't think anything of it, and then I saw this drama unfold, and I thought to myself, if you think that that implies a black person, then you are the racist, John. It's you.
Well, and it's numerous cliches in football, so I'll assume with money, Trump might have went to a private school.
Yes.
As a public school, you'd love nothing more than beating on the parochial schools if you had a chance.
Yes.
And then there's a variety of cliches. So at Grandview, we played Green Valley or Harrisonville or Cass Midway. We didn't, but we knew those kids are tough. They're farmers. They lift hay all summer, right? Mm-hmm. So you got that one. Or if we were to play Southeast, just in here in Kansas City up by Slope Park, oh, those guys are fast.
Mm-hmm.
Right? There was always something to go with each school. So his thing is a general characterization that football players use.
Yes, you're exactly right. That's a great local analogy.
And Will Compton from a small town in Missouri.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Just, grew up in the middle of nowhere just lifting weights. So he thinks, he's talking about him.
Yes.
Yeah.
And Donald Trump did go to a private school, kindergarten through 7th grade, Q Forest School in Queens. Then at age 13, he entered the New York Military Academy, a private boarding school. Now, I don't know where his football career factored into that, but to John's point, it was at a private school because he was in private school K through 12. So for the Washington Post, and this is just another sign of desperation, right, is what this is. It's so desperate that they reach out to Will Compton and Taylor Lewan, and they say, why were you guys laughing? What did you find amusing about Donald Trump's remark? Compton shared the screenshot of the email from the Washington Post. We want to know what you found amusing about Trump's remark. And there are 2 lessons here that we can learn from this story. One, the real racists are those who assume Donald Trump's talking about black people. They're the ones who are racist. And the second part is this is exactly how the media, in large part, needs to be treated when they try to do this gotcha journalism that is really just meant to help one political candidate. You literally fart in response to them, as Will Compton did. It was brilliant. 913-408-7957. And like I said, our local candidates here in Kansas City can learn a thing or two on how to deal with local media, most notably our, air quotes, newspaper of record in Kansas City, the Kansas City Star.